all the food, all the luxuries, all this, and you'll see they're the most saddest people. They have the frowns on their faces, they're complaining, and this and that. And that's not everybody. But we're just saying that. And then you go down a little further, you go to, the Pakistani tents. And then, and there's other tents like that, I'm just saying that. So. And then you see the people, they don't even want to stay in their tents. They're in the street. They're like, oh, the tent's too cramped, there's too many people in there. Let's get our tea burner and have chai have chai, doodh wali, right, outside in the street. And they're having the most fun. They have smiles, the kids are playing, and they're happy. Even though they may have none of the materialistic things that the rich people have, but their happiness is coming from inside, from their contentment. They're happy to be there at Hajj. You'll see one of the women saying, old lady, that she's been saving up her entire life to come for Hajj. And when she says she's been saving up, it's not like, she's spending in this. Every time money comes into her hands, she has like a special account that she's putting away. This is my Hajj account. This is my Hajj account. Until finally she collects enough money, and then she tells her son, please take me for Hajj. And she goes for Hajj. And she's happy to be there. She's happy to be there. Because the contentment and the happiness is coming from her heart. And you also have to understand, this is for the sisters, and of course for the men too, that even though we're Muslim, it's not a guarantee that we're going to Jannah. It's not a guarantee that we're going to Jannah. And a lot of times, there may be maybe a good father, a good mother, and then there may be a daughter that's not practicing. It's not a guarantee that just because someone's father or mother is a practicing Muslim, that they're also going to be promised Jannah because of that. And we have many examples of that. As Nooh alayhi salam told his son to get on the boat, and his son said, no, that I'll go there. Then he was from, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. He's not one of your family because of this. And also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he called to his daughter Fatima at the beginning of the da'wah when he stood on Mount Safa, and he said, Ya Fatima bint Muhammad, salini min mali ma shi'ti la ughni anki min Allahi shay'a. He said, ask me whatever you wish from my wealth, for on the Day of Judgment I'll avail you in no way on the Day of Judgment. Meaning I can't help you. And what this means is that if this is Fatima radiallahu anha, and if she doesn't follow Islam herself, then she might be going to hellfire, and she's the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then it only is a sign that none of us have a promise that we're going to Jannah just because of our families. And these people, when they in the society that we live in, when they try to make their role models, or they talk about liberation, and subhanAllah, I see a lot of lectures that are directed to the sisters. It's always trying to remind everyone of, the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the women. And you'll see it's either the lectures are about hijab or the rights of the women, and seldomly do the lectures go beyond that. They do, but it's very rare. And subhanAllah, we need to get beyond that and become more in depth with the fiqh of the women and get them more involved. And so when these people, they try they're talking about liberation or something like that, what are they actually calling to liberate them from? And subhanAllah, you'll see in Afghanistan, one of the very ignorant things that these kuffar or their ideas had, they thought that because the people have been liberated, they will now automatically take off their hijab. Right? They said that the only reason that they're wearing the hijab is because the men are forcing them to do this. And then they said, oh, they're still shy, we have to give them time. And subhanAllah, even though, Allah alam, even though they took picture of women without the niqab, even though they were technically still wearing hijab, easily they could have brought a female photographer, told her, don't worry, can I just see your face? And then take a picture of them and tell them, look, she's taking off her hijab because of this. And this is the reason. And subhanAllah, as one brother, his wife here, and they lived in DC, and she's wearing black, the full gear. And so one lady went up to her, and she said, I would never do that for a man. I would never do that for my man. And this coming from their understanding that they think that the women are doing this for their men. And in fact, if someone saw my wife, and they would think I'm the one who forced her to dress like this. But in fact, a lot of the sisters, they dress like this before they even get married. And it's not the husband that puts this upon them, but it's something that comes from their heart. And you see many of the sisters, the most dearest thing to them is their hijab that they're wearing. And so this person who's trying to liberate people, what is he trying to liberate them from? When they go into the Middle East and they say we have to liberate these women, what in conclusion do they want for the women? One of the biggest things that they call them to is to take off their hijab. That's one of the biggest things that they keep trying to emphasize to them. Just take off your hijab. They want to liberate them from the Quran and Sunnah. They want to liberate them from Allah and His Messenger. And so this person, well, what's he going to give them in return? A lot of times what they want to give them in return, they don't give them another religion in return, although some people do say that. But what they're saying is that we want to give you happiness. We'll give you happiness, as-sa'ada. Because when you have no hijab and you have no connections to a religion, you're happy. And then we ask this person, does he own happiness? And he doesn't. Because to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belongs happiness. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belongs this happiness. And does this person own the protection? Can he guarantee their security from the gatekeepers of hellfire? And he cannot. And he cannot avail them in any way. And you'll see that when they're trying to liberate people, subhanAllah, they're not trying to liberate the seniors or the incarcerated women or indigenous people. They're trying to liberate a specific class of the women, from the 12 age group to about 28, young and beautiful. Those are the ones that they want to take out. But you never hear them going into the senior citizen places or other places. They're taking a specific class of women that they're trying to liberate. And for the other people, in fact, in their own society, they've thrown them to the wayside. When they've lost their beauty, they're thrown to the wayside. And they're uncared for. As one sheikh, I remember, he said, this was, some of the shuyukh were leaving back to Saudi, and he said one of the things he noticed, that when he had come here to America, was that they had gone into a restaurant really early in the morning, something like IHOP or something like that, and he saw this lady, and it was like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, serving them. She was there really early in the morning, and she was telling them, she had to get her son ready, or leave them sleeping, or leave them to a babysitter, so that she could come and work for them. And he said, subhanAllah, instead of serving us, it would be better that you served your children. That to get up this early in the morning to make a good breakfast, to prepare them for school, instead of coming and have to be like a slave to the men in the society and having to work. And even, coming here, I noticed, you see in the restaurants, a lot of the late night workers are women. And they're leaving their houses, if they have families and stuff, but they're there really late at night, 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're working to sell, burritos, or they're selling something else. And it would be, like if you went to a Muslim country, you won't find women like that. The women are protected in their house. And in fact, I was trying to encourage my wife to work. And she says, I'm not working. She goes, I know my rights in Islam. and subhanAllah, and you can't say anything because this is her right. And this is her haqq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that she would not be enslaved by the men. And here in this society, this is what they're trying to take the women out. As one kafir woman said, and summing up what they did, and you know how they have fashion police, they're called fashion police, and then they're not mutawwaz like they have in Saudi, but they're just people there to mock anybody for what they're, the clothes they're wearing. Just before I forget, reading a statement of the shuyukh, one of the shuyukh said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the human being with clothes and with methods or instruments of beautifying oneself. And it's something that distinguishes an animal from a human being is the clothes. Because you won't see animals dressing up, in their suit and tie or this and that. And so something that distinguishes the human is that they have the ability to wear clothes. And also that the animals are not putting on makeup or putting on kahl or something like that. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distinguished the humans. And then he said that the more clothes a person wears, the more civilized they are. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted the civilization to the women through the hijab, through their covering. And also the men. And the man is also not supposed to, man's not supposed to be dressing out and making himself naked. And the more a person takes off his clothes, the more he resembles the animal. And in fact, this is what they want us to do. when they teach you the Darwin theory, they want you to understand